Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the JD Rucker Show. If you are watching the evening show, which starts at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, then awesome. If you're watching the daytime show, which starts at various times depending on what's happening in the news, then that's awesome as well. But either way, you should find me wherever you want to find me, whatever platforms you use, Rumble, X, YouTube, BitChute, all the various networks, all the various areas where the show's broadcast. You can find all those, plus my websites, plus my socials, and even my sponsors. You can go to jdrucker.com/find, jdrucker.com/find. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. You're listening to the JD Rucker Show. Let's begin. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the JD Rucker Show. It was, I would say, the best day yet for DOGE, for the DOGE team, the DOGE concept, everything DOGE related. Today was a very good day. It's not just it wasn't their actions today. Their actions for really ever since they came about have been nothing short of tremendous. What made today so good is, well, multiple little events, and then one big event, and then one great, I would say wonderful, informative interview by Bret Baier. Now, as many know, I'm not a fan of Bret Baier, not a fan of Fox News, but I think they did a great service to America today, both of them. So kudos to them, Bret Baier and Fox News, for bringing not just Elon Musk, but also members of Elon Musk's team on for an extended interview that, it's the kind of thing where you really just hope that the radicals, the idiots, even just your average everyday leftist or anti-DOGE person, that they watch this. They need to watch this. Throughout today's show, I'm going to be playing little clips here and there. It's going to be a pretty short show because I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do this about DOGE and government efficiency in general, then I don't need any other stories. So we have it limited to like 4 or 5 stories total, and they're all related to government efficiency or DOGE itself. But again, if you can get your friends on the left or anybody, friends on the right, any friends you've got, friends, relatives, whatever, get them to either they can watch this show right now, okay, or they can watch the interview by Bret Baier. And hopefully that will wake some people up. It's not just about government efficiency. We keep saying that over and over again. This really is about changing the culture, changing the paradigm, changing the missions, and returning to the original missions for many of these departments. We've got RFK talking about it today. We've got Congresswoman Harriet Hagerman talking about it. We have everybody talking about it. So once again, huge kudos to Bret Baier and Fox News for bringing this to the public because it is desperately needed. I think that if more Americans were aware of what DOGE was actually doing and not listening to what the legacy media and the uniparty swamp tells them that DOGE is doing, that they would be all on board. I'm talking 85%, which is huge because you have to figure there's always going to be about 20% of people that are completely unhinged and will, if you tell them to vote for legislation that they're saying that the sky is green, that they will be all in support of it. Or if you were to vote for a regulation that says something crazy, I'm not going to go down that road. I was going to make it funny. We're going to keep it serious today because it was a good day. Look, that's all I got to say about that. Started off with the capture, the arrest of the suspect who allegedly firebombed the Tesla dealership in Las Vegas. Turns out that he has ties to communist organizations, to pro-Palestine organizations. He's a radical. And we did even find out what he drove. He drove a Hyundai. But it's funny because they detailed in the report, and you can find the report. It's over on the at thelibertydaily.com. I wrote up a little article about it. It's very clear that this guy was, I don't want to say a plant because that's the wrong way to put it, but he was designed one way or another to do exactly what he did. I'm not saying the government did. This isn't like, oh, he's Lee Harvey Oswald against Tesla. No, I'm saying that either something throughout this guy's life, it could have happened recently, could have been forever, but something made it to where this is the perfect guy if you need somebody to go firebomb a Tesla dealership. He was meticulous. He planned it all out. I'm very impressed that they were able to catch him based upon everything we know. He went so far as to take a rifle and to shoot out the security cameras so they could only get limited views of him. He wore masks. He wore everything. He made it to where, he's going to firebomb this dealership and then he's going to disappear. And apparently he did not disappear because they were able to locate him, to identify him, and then locate and arrest him. We will see what comes from that. But yeah, he drove a Hyundai. He's a Hyundai driver. He's also a proud card-carrying member of the Communist Party USA co-figure. Imagine that. And that would be, like I said, amongst those 20% that would not appreciate DOGE, even if they knew exactly what it was about. For the other 80% and 85%, if they were to watch and really start looking into what DOGE is doing, looking into the people behind it, the people that have made sacrifices to their lives. We're not just talking about the over $100 million that Elon Musk has lost. 100 billion. Sorry, million. That's so old school. He's lost over $100 billion of his own personal wealth to try to serve America, to try to serve people and help people who absolutely positively despise him. I don't know if that's 20%, 50%, some percentage of the population, thanks to the propaganda from legacy media, thanks to the lies by the uniparty swamp. A good chunk of Americans hate Elon Musk, and he's helping them as well. The people that hate him, he's trying to help them as well. You can say the same thing about President Trump, and Elon Musk in the interview always kept mentioning the reality, and I don't think we can ignore this, the fact that there has never been a president who would have allowed DOGE, and there may never be another president in the future who would allow this type of massive cutting, this type of exposure of the corruption that's happening in Washington, D.C., not just through the halls of Congress, not just through the White House, not just through even the court system, but also through, perhaps most importantly, the bureaucratic state itself, which is a gargantuan, it's a behemoth. It's got to be chopped up. And DOGE is doing whatever it can to do that. So throughout today's show, I will be playing some clips from the Bret Baier interview, and without commentary. I'm going to comment on one of them because one of them just blew me away. I'd heard most of these stories before. I was aware of most of the people that were on that panel, but one story that I'd never heard about was about the surveys. Have you heard about this? The survey that they did about national parks? I did a segment about that. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let's go ahead and play that. Let me throw a quick clip from one of our sponsors, really short one, and then when it's done, let's just go straight into the first. Let's just do it live. Going straight first story about about a national parks survey. If there's one thing that people who are brand new to prepping often forget, it's the long-term storage meds. I think a lot of times people either forget them or they don't realize that they can acquire medications that can be held for an extended period of time. My good friends over at Jace Medical, they've got you covered, whether it's for chronic meds, for illnesses that you or your family members have, whether it's antibiotics, just being ready for whatever is going to happen in the world. These are things that you should have available to you if you're going to be preparing for self-reliance in the long haul. Go to jdrucker.com/meds, jdrucker.com/meds. Use promo code RUCKER10, the number 10, RUCKER10 at checkout, and you get a nice discount on top of that. jdrucker.com/meds. Elon Musk reveals that DOGE found $1 billion spent by our government for a survey, an online survey, a survey that apparently had no actual use other than to launder money, because that's really what it's about. I'll get into that here in a second, but let's go to Elon Musk. He was joined by many of his members of the DOGE team. Brett Behar over at Fox News had him on, and there was a lot of revelations from this particular interview, but this one was the bombshell, in my humble opinion. Watch.
For you, what's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing. It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually. For example, like the simple survey that was literally 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000. The government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For just the survey?
$1 billion for a simple online survey. Do you like the national park? And then there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go into nothing. It was like insane.
Yeah.
A survey to nowhere. A survey about nothing. We'll call it, it's the Seinfeld survey. It's about nothing. It's just
nothing. Nothing. Nothing.
But it's not about nothing. That's inaccurate. It is about something. It's about money laundering. At the end of the day, the people that are opposed to DOGE, whether it's Democrats, Republicans even, bureaucrats, we'll just say the uniparty swamp in general, which is the Republicans and Democrats that are just in it for themselves, going against the American people, plus their bureaucrats, who sometimes we say, oh, the bureaucrats are the lackeys, but I would argue that sometimes the bureaucrats are actually the bosses. Then, of course, they're legacy media captives, the ones that are promoting all this stuff. Those people that are going against DOGE are the ones that have the most to lose. And this is how they lose it. This is how they lose it. They lose it because Elon Musk and DOGE can go in there and find their scams, find their cons, find their methods of stealing money from the American people. Now, I will say one thing that I disagree with that Elon Musk had said. He said that the government was charged $1 billion for this worthless survey that would have cost $10,000 on SurveyMonkey. That's not true. It was the American people who were charged $1 billion, who had their money stolen. It was stolen from us and given to somebody through this one of many, many, many scams that DOGE and the Trump administration are currently trying to expose. I want to know who's getting paid, and perhaps more importantly, I want to know how we're going to stop it. Again, for those who missed the opening, there was a tremendous interview, an important interview by Brett Behar over at Fox News with Elon Musk and several members of the DOGE team. I would strongly encourage that you watch it. Watch the whole thing and make sure you got friends and relatives watching it, just to get an idea of what DOGE is really doing, to educate people about what DOGE is actually doing. Let's get around the propaganda. Let's get around the lies being told. Let's tell people the truth. I firmly believe that a humongous chunk of the American people, if they knew what DOGE was actually doing, they would be wholeheartedly in support of it. And it would also, as a side note, it would also, once again, chop down any remaining credibility legacy media has, because they've been lying about it. So throughout today's show, I am going to be playing these clips like I'm about to play, clips from the interview itself, and trying to just get as much of this information out there as possible.
I'll say the two improvements that we're trying to make to Social Security are helping people that legitimately get benefits, protecting them from fraud that they experience every day on a routine basis, and also make the experience better. And I'll give you one example is at Social Security, one of the first things we learned is that they get phone calls every day of people trying to change direct deposit information. So when you want to change your bank account, you can call Social Security. We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters.
40%?
That's right. Almost half.
Yes, and they steal people's Social Security is what happens. Is they call in, they say they claim to be a retiree, then they convince the Social Security person on the phone to change where the money's flowing. It actually goes to some fraudster. This is happening all day, every day, and then somebody doesn't receive their Social Security. It's because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
There's now been these many cases of violence and vandalism at Tesla dealerships. How does that affect your employees, your customers? What does it mean to you? Like, how have you taken that in?
Well, I think a great wrong is being done to the people of Tesla and to our customers. Tesla is a peaceful company that has made great cars, great products. That's all it's done. Hasn't harmed anyone. And yet people are committing violence. They're firebombing Tesla dealerships. They're shooting guns into stores. They're threatening people. They're issuing death threats against me and other Tesla personnel. What are they doing this for? Why? And what's happening, it seems to me, is they're being fed propaganda by the far left. And they believe it. It's really unfortunate. But the real problem is not the people. It's not like the crazy guy that firebombs a Tesla dealership. It's the people pushing the propaganda that caused that guy to do it. Those are the real villains here, and we're going to go after them. And the president's made it clear we're going to go after them. The ones providing the money, the ones pushing the lies and propaganda. We're going after them.
And it's been this evolution. I mean, the last administration was going to mandate electric vehicles, and now you see on the far left some efforts to go after electric vehicles. It's quite something.
It is ironic. I mean, it seems like the most ironic outcome is the most likely. But, yeah, I mean...
Personally, it's got to take a toll.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Congresswoman Harriet Hageman perfectly explains opposition to DOGE. And to be technical, there's really three different types of opposition to DOGE. I'll get into the other two here in a second, but first let's turn to Harriet Hageman as she explains the political opposition to DOGE. Why are Democrats and bureaucrats and their legacy media lapdogs so opposed to the Department of Government Efficiency?
This is probably the closest thing that we will have to zero-based budgeting in the federal government in my lifetime. And that is that all DOGE is doing, all his IT folks are doing is going into these agencies line by line by line, identifying program by program by program, and finding out how much is being spent on each and whether that is a legitimate expenditure of federal funds. Why anybody would be opposed to that is absolutely mind-blowing to me, except for, again, it goes back to the fact that so much money is funneled through these federal agencies, through the NGOs, back to the Democrat coffers, back to supporting Democrats to run for office, to continue this behemoth growing and growing and growing.
It's a snowball effect. They know that if they can get enough money sent to this NGO, that NGO is then going to turn around and give money to these people, and that money is going to come back to the Democrat Party or Democrat causes or leftist or globalist causes in general. So that's one reason. That covers the bad guys. What about the other bad guys? Well, let's start with, of course, the foot soldiers, we'll call them. These are the people that are out there going to Tesla dealerships and burning them up, going to just riding their little scooters and driving them as fast as they can into Teslas and protesting this and protesting that. What's driving them? Unfortunately, the answer is just Trump derangement syndrome and Musk derangement syndrome. They don't really know what they hate about Elon Musk or DOGE. I think they know what they hate about President Trump. But as far as why are they so opposed to the Department of Government Efficiency, it's because of the aforementioned Democrats and bureaucrats, and especially legacy media, egging them on, telling them he's a billionaire and he's going to try to steal all your money and he's going to try to do this and help his other billionaire buddies get in. And it's a lie. It's a bald-faced lie. Okay. Elon Musk has lost a lot of money. People around him who would normally be, supportive of him are sort of distancing themselves from them. I'm talking about his quote unquote billionaire buddies, because he's not helping them out either. Who is he helping out? He's helping out the little guy. So why are the little guys against him? Because again, they're brainwashed and they're ignorant. It really does come down to that. They really, if you were to try to take these guys that are going and keying at Tesla and you were to sit them down and give them truth serum and try to figure out what is it about cutting waste that you don't like. They won't be able to explain it. None of them. I'm not talking about, most of them. I'm saying that because here's the thing. Anyone who actually educates themselves to what the Department of Government Efficiency is doing, they're not going to be against it. Unless they're evil. I mean, if they're like, oh, you know what? We got to support Democrats no matter what, even if it's going to steal money out of my own pocket and give it to them. Hey, at least they're not Trump. At least they're not a Republican. At least they're not those racist bigots that are out there. Whatever, But then that brings us to the third group. That third group is the dangerous group. They're the ones that don't get talked about nearly enough, maybe by some in independent media, but I can assure you that the vast majority in conservative media, they're ignoring the reality, as in, of course, all of legacy media. They're all ignoring it, and that's the fact that the globalist elite cabal, I know the boogeymen, right? They say, oh, that's a conspiracy theory, but it really is true. People like George Soros, Klaus Schwab, and their entire ilk, okay, Barack Obama. The globalist elite cabal is driving all of this, and it's not because they're getting paid, to be clear. They're not sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, this is what separates them from like the Democrats and the bureaucrats who are on the take versus the actual leaders of the cabal. They don't care about getting paid. They're not getting a penny from any of this stuff. They got plenty of money. They can print money. They can steal money from 1,000 different places. This is all about control. This is all about being able to take our money and use it against us in thousands, millions probably, of different ways. How could it possibly be millions of different ways? Well, if we count each individual program and each individual anti-American person who's being paid or otherwise coerced into working against us and against our interests and against our Constitution, yes, we are talking about how our tax dollars are being used in over 1 million different ways to try to destroy us. There's a gold rush going on right now, not just by central banks, not just by entire countries, not just by those trying to refill Fort Knox before Elon Musk and President Trump get there. No, there's a gold rush happening amongst individual Americans. It's a gold and silver rush, and it's specifically attracting people of retirement, retirement age. People are starting to realize that maybe they don't need their IRAs or 401ks or whatever stuck in the stock market. Maybe they should be looking at physical precious metals like gold and silver. Now, I am not a financial advisor, so I'm not going to give you advice. I'm just going to tell you who to talk to if you've already made up your mind and you think maybe I should consider it. Go to jdrgold.com, jdrgold.com, or call 800-200-4653. That's 800-200-GOLD. And check out what the folks over at Genesis Gold Group can do for you. They are a faith-driven precious metals company. They don't do the scams, the cheats, the tactics, such as offering free or bonus silver. It's never free, and it's not really a bonus. You're paying for it. They just tack it onto the price and then say, "Oh, look, here's free, here's bonus." No. It's they probably have a good role to play in government, at least the old government. I would imagine that DOGE and Elon Musk would sniff out their scams. But if you want to deal with a direct and honest company to do a tax-free rollover or transfer of your IRA, go to jdrgold.com, jdrgold.com. You'll receive a free definitive wealth protection kit. Plus, you will be contacted by my good friends at Genesis Gold Group. I know I said I was only going to be doing DOGE clips today, but I forgot I did a story about Joy Behar, and I know that it has nothing to do with DOGE, but call this the signal change. That's what we'll call it. It's a signal change. Yeah, just breaking the monotony. In case you're sick of watching about all the DOGE awesomeness, you can watch this particular clip about what I consider to be the stupidest thing that Joy Behar has ever said on air, which, as you know, that's a bold statement considering how many stupid things she said throughout her very far too long career. So So this is a breakup, and then we'll get right back into more Doge talk. The View's Joy Behar said the dumbest thing she's ever said on air, which is saying a lot because this is somebody who says dumb things on air literally every time she's on air. This one takes the cake because it's so blatantly false that it didn't take long for somebody to find the receipts. That somebody was, I believe, Colin Rugg over at Trending Politics News. I think usually he'll attribute a video if somebody else had made it. So the fact that he doesn't give attribution, I think that maybe he put this one together. Who knows? The View's Joy Behar tries slamming Trump, says she has never in her lifetime remembered a sitting president trash the president who served before him. Now that is, easily, demonstrably incorrect. Literally every president, at least in my lifetime, has trashed the president before him. They always do. It's really a question of how long they do it. In other words, I remember Barack Obama was blaming George W. Bush for his policies by Obama's 7th year in office. I remember that vividly because it's like, are you sure? Really? You're still going to be blaming the economic woes the American people are experiencing on things that George W. Bush did 8 years ago? Yeah. So it does happen. It happens every time. And here, let's just go ahead and play the video itself.
You chose not to go through the proper protocol.
Yeah, right.
And everybody could have seen this.
Yeah.
This is not the App Store kind of stuff you want to be using.
They also have a tendency to blame the Biden administration. Yeah. It's like, move on. That ship has sailed. I never remember in my lifetime a sitting president trashing a previous president.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays. You know, I was in that World War I cemetery in France. And the one that one of our colleagues, the former president, didn't want to go and be up there. When the president was asked what he thought had happened, Donald Trump said, and I quote, "There are very fine people on both sides. My God." That's what he said. It sounds like if I said this 5 years ago, you'd lock me up. We got to lock him up. That Trump, when in Europe, would not go to the grave sites in France. The brave service members who gave their lives to this country. He called them suckers and losers. Who in the hell does he think he is? Who does he think he is? And the then president was asked, what do you think? He said, they're very fine people on both sides. Not fine people on both sides. No excuse, zero. And I know Americans want a president, not a dictator. No self-respecting American president would ever be Putin's puppy like this guy is. That's what he is. Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is just supporters. But I'm serious. These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass.
I've never heard that before. Never heard, Ronald Reagan didn't do it. They're St.
But it's
Ronald.
the common enemy. It's what drives their base together is the other.
Yeah.
So they do that to create.
Yeah. And I got to say, stop treating your base like their dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop.
They know better.
We'll be right back.
Sure.
I know a lot of people really hate The View. I don't. I appreciate that The View exists because it does serve, in my humble opinion, 2 very important purposes. Number one, it highlights the elitist aspect of the radical leftist agenda. This is where you get to hear people who have no idea, who really have not suffered, at least recently. Maybe they did earlier in their lives, but they're not suffering through the ills, the challenges that have been thrust upon the American people. And to hear people like Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg lambasting President Trump or embracing Kamala Harris or defending Adam Schiff or any of those things, it is funny because people are starting to wake up to it. They really are. This is one of the reasons why President Trump was able to win such a resounding victory in the 2024 election, because of shows like The View because of these Hollywood types that think that they have influence over people when it comes to politics. More and more people are waking up, and fewer people are listening to them. With that said, it does serve a secondary purpose. I like to use that as my how radical leftist is somebody. I use this as one of my litmus tests. Obviously, since this show is geared towards women, I usually ask this as a question to women. If I think that somebody might be a radical leftist, I'm like, hey, do you ever watch The View? If they answer yes, then I know they're probably lost. I mean, lost for good. If by now they don't realize how bad The View is and they're still watching it today, that means chances are they're never going to recover.
I bumped into Anthony and Elon probably back in February, and they told me something about a mine that was dealt with retirement, and they said they needed somebody to help out to fix retirement in the government. I loved the challenge, so I jumped on board, and it turns out there is actually a mine in Pennsylvania that houses every paper document for the retirement process in the government. Now picture this. This giant cave has 22,000 filing cabinets, stacked 10 high to house 400 million pieces of paper. It's a process that started in the 1950s and largely hasn't changed in the last 70 years. And so as we dug into it, we found retirement cases that had so much paper, they had to fit it on a shipping pallet. So the process takes many months, and we're going to make it just many days.
Will it be digitized, or how?
Absolutely. So this will be an online digital process that will take just a few days at most. And I really think, it's an injustice to civil servants who are subjected to these processes that are older than the age of half the people watching your show tonight. So we really believe that the government can have an Apple Store-like experience, beautifully designed, great user experience, modern systems.
One, we're changing the culture. The culture is been not a lot of caring and not a lot of commitment to doing what's right relative to financial operations. There's a $500 billion of fraud every year. There's hundreds of billion dollars of improper payments, and we can't pass an audit. The consolidated financial report is produced by Treasury, and we cannot pass it on. We have material weaknesses. What that means is that if I was a public company CFO, I would effectively be removed. I couldn't file financial statements. I couldn't issue securities, which of course we depend on. Can't pass an audit.
Right. The federal government cannot pass an audit. It's impossible. In fact, in order to pass an audit, you need the information necessary to pass an audit. You need to have the payment codes, you need to have the payment explanation, and you need to have a person you can contact to understand why that payment was made. None of those things were mandatory until just recently, just a few weeks ago. In fact, maybe last week?
Yeah, we're serving 580 plus agencies. And up until very recently, effectively they could say make the payment and Treasury just sent it out as fast as possible. No verification. And so what we're doing is what any household would do. But imagine you're a household, you have a bank account, everyone has an ATM card connected to that account, everyone has a checkbook connected to that account. It's not just your children, it's not just your parents, it's your in-laws, it's your extended family, and they all can go to the account and disperse funds. No questions asked, no justification, no verification.
Well, I'd say there's a couple of things we're really committed to in our work at HHS. Number one, making sure we continue to have the best biomedical research in the world. And number two, making sure, which President Trump has said over and over again, that we 100% protect Medicare and Medicaid. But there's a lot of opportunity. So if I take NIH as an example, today, if you're an NIH researcher and you get a $100 grant at your university, today you get to spend 60 of that and your university spends 40 of that. The policy that we're proposing to make is that you get to spend 85 of that and your university spends 15. So that's more money going directly to the scientists who are discovering new cures. Another example at NIH is today they have 27 different centers. They got created over time by Congress, and they're typically by disease state or body system. There's 700 different IT systems today at NIH.
700 different IT systems.
IT software systems. They can't speak to each other.
So they don't talk to one another.
They have 27 different CIOs. And so when you think about making great medical discoveries, you have to connect the data.
Time out. You said 27 different chief information officers?
Correct.
And most of them are non-technical.
So there's a lot there.
There's a lot of opportunity. It will make science better, not worse.
And, for example, there were over $300 million of Small Business Administration loans that has been given out to people under the age of 11.
Well, actually, to add to it, it's $300 million under the age of 11 and over $300 million to over the age of 120.
Definitely.
Small business loans.
Correct.
Yes. The oldest American is 114. So it's safe to say if their age is 115 or above, they're fake. Or they should be in the Guinness Book of World Records. And we should not be giving out loans to babies. So the youngest recipient of a Small Business Administration loan is a 9-month-old, which is a very, very precocious baby we're talking about here. So obviously it was just fraudulent. And they do terrible things. They actually will see that a kid's been born. They will steal that kid's social security number and then take out a loan and leave that kid with a bad credit rating. There was literally a baby. The terrible things are being done is what we're saying.
Here's a true story. I was testing out some coffee. This has been almost a year ago. Testing out some coffee for a potential sponsor. And I had made the coffee, and I went about my morning routine, did my work, doing my thing, and then I took my first sip of coffee. And it struck me. I'm like, holy crap. I had forgotten that I had was testing out this new coffee. I just took the first sip, and I was like, wow, this is really good. And then I remembered, oh my gosh, this is Promised Grounds. This is the stuff that they sent me. So I started drinking some more of it, and I have become a lifetime customer of Promised Grounds. They are a Christian coffee company, which I know you don't see a whole lot of them. They give back to the community. They're Texas, all American, all Texan, just like a lot of the stuff that we do. Check them out. Go to jdrucker.com/coffee, jdrucker.com/coffee, and check out Promised Grounds. It's great. One of the best ways to stay ahead of the deep state and to understand the machinations of the globalist elite cabal is to get information from people in the know, such as former CIA analyst Jim Rickards. Go to jdrucker.com/crisis, jdrucker.com/crisis, and see what information they have for you today. RFK Jr. is cutting tens of thousands of employees from HHS, but that's not really the end of the story. In fact, it actually gets bigger and better from there. I'm going to play this video. Now, I want you to watch the whole thing. I gotta tell you, it's not short. It's like a 6-minute video. But I want you to watch it. I want you to listen to it very carefully and listen to his words. Listen to him as he talks about mission. You know, we've grown accustomed to DOGE going in and saying, okay, wasteful, cut. But what you don't hear a lot of people saying, and they might give it lip service, but I truly believe RFK Jr. in this particular case because of the passion that he delivers his message and the fact that he continues to reiterate. This isn't just about cutting. It's also about returning to the original mission for HHS to focus on science and health, not just administration and waste. So watch this.
Hey, everybody. I'd like to share with you a paradox that I've encountered here in Washington, D.C. as the new Secretary of HHS. Our department is filled for the most part with competent, conscientious public servants, and yet the agency has been inefficient as a whole. Over the past 4 years during the Biden administration, HHS's budget increased by 38%, and its staffing increased by 17%, but all that money has failed to improve the health of Americans. In fact, the rate of chronic disease and cancer increased dramatically as our department has grown. Our lifespan has dropped, so Americans now live 6 years shorter than Europeans. We are the sickest nation in the world, and we have the highest rate of chronic disease. The U.S. ranks last among 40 developed nations in terms of health, but we spend 2 to 3 times more per capita than those nations. As Secretary, I now understand why all this money is not improving our health. HHS is a sprawling bureaucracy that encompasses literally hundreds of departments, committees, and other offices. You know how bureaucracies work. Every time a new issue arises, they tack on another committee. This leads to tremendous waste and duplication, and worst of all, a loss of any unified sense of mission. The resulting pandemonium has injured American health and damaged department morale. When I arrived, I found that over half of our employees don't even come to work. HHS has more than 100 communications offices and more than 40 IT departments and dozens of procurement offices and 9 HR departments. In many cases, they don't even talk to each other. They're mainly operating in silos. Sometimes these sub-agencies work at cross purposes with each other. Some of these little fiefdoms, for example, are so insulated and territorial that they actually hoard our patient medical data and sell it for profit to each other. Instead of remedying the chronic disease crisis, perverse incentives have administrators checking boxes and grading their own homework while public health declines. A few isolated divisions are neglecting public health altogether and seem only accountable to the industries that they're supposed to be regulating. In one case, defiant bureaucrats impeded the secretary's office from accessing the closely guarded databases that might reveal the dangers of certain drugs and medical interventions. I have some good news, though. As part of President Trump's DOGE workforce reduction initiative, we're going to streamline HHS to make our agency more efficient and more effective. We're going to imbue the agency with a clear sense of mission to radically improve the health of Americans and to improve agency morale. We're going to eliminate an entire alphabet soup of departments and agencies while preserving their core functions by merging them into a new organization called the Administration for a Healthy America, or AHA. We have two goals. The first is obvious, to save the taxpayer money by making our department more efficient. And the second is to radically improve our quality of service. I want to promise you now that we're going to do more with less. No American is going to be left behind. Our key services delivered through Medicare and Medicaid, the FDA and CDC, and other agencies will enter a new era of responsiveness and a new era of effectiveness. We're going to consolidate all of these departments and make them accountable to you, the American taxpayer, and the American patient. These goals will honor the aspirations of the vast majority of existing HHS employees who actually yearn to make America healthy. 28 great divisions will become 15. The entire federal workforce is downsizing now, so this will be a painful period for HHS as we downsize from 82,000 full-time employees to around 62,000. We're keenly focused on paring away excess administrators while increasing the number of scientists and frontline health providers so that we can do a better job for the American people. We're going to streamline our agency and eliminate the redundancies and invite everyone to align behind a simple, bold mission. I want every HHS employee to wake up every morning asking themselves, what can I do to restore American health today? I want to empower everyone in the HHS family to have a sense of purpose and pride and a sense of personal agency and responsibility to this larger goal. We're going to save taxpayers nearly $2 billion a year, and we're going to return HHS to its original commitment to public health and gold standard science. I want this agency to be once again a revered scientific institution that once made HHS the envy of the world. I want everyone who works here to be proud of this agency, to be proud of their work, to feel a renewed inspiration and their own sense of responsibility for our success in restoring America to good health. Streamlining HHS is part of a shift to new priorities, especially ending the chronic disease epidemic with clean water, safe food, effective medicine, good science, radical transparency, and a healthy environment. I think most Americans would agree with me that throwing more money at healthcare isn't going to solve the problem, or would have solved it already. Obviously, what we've been doing hasn't worked. That's why we're making this dramatic overhaul. But the real overhaul is even bigger. The real overhaul is improving the health of the entire nation to make America healthy again.
See, it's not just about cutting. That seems to be the primary focus of DOGE, and that makes sense because there is so much government waste that, of course, cutting should be the primary action taken by DOGE, by all of the various departments and agencies, by the entirety of the Trump administration. I've long said that if you were to cut 95% of the federal government, that very few people would even notice, other than, of course, the people that were getting cut. They would notice, but then they can find a future in the private sector. Point being is that cutting is great, but what he's going to do, what RFK Jr. is doing at HHS, is to reduce the cost, reduce the employees, reduce the waste, but increase the productivity, increase the focus on the mission, which HHS is designed specifically to improve the health of the American people. With so many, you would think, oh, well, they've got billions of dollars in budget, they've got tens of thousands of employees. Surely they're going to be able to improve health in the United States of America. And it's not just about healthcare. Perhaps more importantly, it's about preventative measures. Let's make America healthy again, as RFK Jr. has said. And that's not just, okay, once they get sick, let's give them drugs. No, it's about making sure that fewer people are getting sick, keeping people healthier throughout their lives, from the beginning all the way to near the end. That is a wonderful and righteous way of doing things. And it's something that the HHS has not done in a very long time, maybe ever. Maybe this is the paradigm shift that should have happened from the very beginning. I don't know. I wasn't there. I just know where we are now. And he's right. We spend more money per capita on healthcare and trying to keep our people healthy, and yet we're not. We're just not healthy. You know, I'm one of the culprits. I am not healthy, but I'm striving. I don't eat sugars anymore. I'm trying to exercise more. I'm on the ketogenic diet. I limit my caloric intake. I'm trying to do things that are going to improve my health, help me to lose weight, all that good stuff. Not making a pitch for diets here. I'm just saying that we can do better. We must do better. And I believe that based upon what RFK Jr. said, I think that we have an opportunity. Arguably, the most important overall long-term effect of the Trump administration will come as a result of the changes that are made at HHS. We can look at short-term benefits. We can look at trying to put out fires, because there are plenty of fires. But let's say that we can overcome all of the existential threats that currently face the United States of America, if we are still a full-blown, free and independent nation in 30 years, then we can look back, Lord willing, we'll be able to look back at this moment and say what the Trump administration has done, what RFK Jr. and HHS did, that those are the things that help to improve America, to make America healthy again, which will, as a result, make America great again. These are things that we need to focus upon, and I am all on board. It's not just about cutting. It's about returning to the initial mission.
Well, this is a revolution, and I think it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. But at the end of the day, America is going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work, and it's going to be a fantastic future. But are we going to get a lot of complaints along the way? Absolutely. You know, one of the things I learned at PayPal was who complains the loudest and with the most amount of fake righteous indignation? The fraudsters. It's a tell. There's some of these NGOs that are crazy, like the $2 billion to Stacey Abrams' NGO that basically didn't exist, and suddenly gets $2 billion awarded from the federal government. She has why? And there are many such cases like that.
Do you guys all see this as a patriotic duty? I mean, is that really what this is about?
It's essential.
Very much so. I do, 100%. I was running 5 businesses in Houston, and I left that. I left great people to do this, and my wonderful wife said, go for it. And here I am. But I feel like this is me giving back to the country.
If we don't do this, we're sunk. The ship, unless this exercise is successful, the ship of America will sink. That's why we're doing it.
Yeah, it's a super short show today, but as I noted yesterday, those who watched yesterday, you know that we are striving to split the show into 2 shows, one daytime, one nighttime. It makes sense because not all the audience can be here. I mean, we start this show at midnight Eastern time. A lot of people are asleep. So the idea there is that if we have, instead of doing an hour and a half, 2 hours in one sitting, let's do about an hour, or in this case, we're at 50 minutes. Do about an hour during at night and then another hour during the day. I was hoping to do that this morning, but I ended up, it's funny, crazy story that my wonderful, talented, and beautiful wife has helped me to make this show work. And one of the things that she's been doing, she's been really trying to help with some of my chores in the morning to make it to where I can actually do my thing. And this morning, she basically took over all of my morning chores, and I ended up sleeping. It was the first time, and I hadn't realized this. This is the first time I'd slept more than 5 hours in a single sitting this year. Like, I generally take naps. I'm a nap guy. I take 2 or 3 naps throughout the day, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, usually max, and then the occasional 4 or 5 hour sleep. But this time I actually slept for like 7 hours. It was crazy. Hadn't done that in a long time, and apparently I needed it because I woke up and I feel awesome and refreshed. We often talk about exercise. We talk about eating healthy, but a huge chunk of the healthcare or the making yourself healthy again process is making sure that you're getting enough sleep. And that's something that I have because of what I do at the Liberty Daily, the JD Rucker Show, America First Report, the CERN Report, Genesis Gold Group, all this other stuff. Because of all the various things that I do, it's hard for me to sleep, get your standard 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep a day. But it's necessary and it's important. With that said, I'm probably going to be getting less sleep again because we are going to be, for sure now, doing the show in the morning as well as in the evening. That way we have 2 different shows going, completely unique, and we'll see how that goes. As those of you who have been following the show, you know that we are in talks with a couple of different networks trying to see which one's going to be the best fit. So far, they're both great fits. That's the toughest part. Unfortunately, I can't do them both. Not because I wouldn't. I would. Let's just say that there's a challenge with that potential. So not going to go into that. Let's just say that hopefully, Lord willing, I will be involved with another network here very soon. Both networks are willing to let me say whatever I want to say, pretty much. If I want to say, hey, it's you really need to embrace the gospel. You need to learn more about Christianity. Dive into your Bible, pray, get to know what's happening in the Christian world, and most importantly, accept and appreciate Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Those are things that you can't necessarily say on some networks, believe it or not. I found that out the hard way. And that bugs me, especially considering they're conservative networks. I get it. Oh, but if you're a secular show, then be safe. Whatever. This is my show. This is how I do my show. I don't care. I don't have like a set, we have to do this process and we're going to be talking about just these subjects. Look, if I want to talk about classic cars tomorrow, I will. Now, I probably won't. But if I did want to, I will. And if I want to have a show where pretty much the whole thing is about DOGE, other than one little insert about Joy Behar, and I'm going to use clips scattered around and not me talking about it, just the clips. That's the whole key here. One of the things that I want to make sure with today's show was they said enough. The DOGE people and even Brett Behar, they said everything that needed to be said. I didn't have to analyze each individual one. I don't do this for the sake of, hear what I have to say about what I have to say. Sometimes, a lot of times, most of the time, I think I do. But when you have something like that interview today with DOGE, I think that letting it be, taking the clips, I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't have to be the center of attention on every story. As a matter of fact, I shouldn't be the center of attention on every story. Now, my call for you all, other than, of course, the standard, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, I would ask you to help to share some of this information about DOGE. Get the information out there. Find the video clips on social media. Get them out there. Okay, we need people to understand what DOGE is actually doing, and I think they did a very good job. It wasn't perfect, but it was the best job so far I've seen of trying to use a legacy media outlet to explain the reality of DOGE. And I'm glad that Elon Musk used members of his team. He didn't just go out there on his own personal PR tour. He actually brought in key members of his team that were able to deliver some incredible stories, incredible truths about DOGE and about the U.S. government. Our government is corrupt, and this is the funny part, is that so many of the people that are out there protesting against DOGE, these are people that would argue, the government's broken. Okay, we'll try to fix it. Well, yes, we should try to fix it, just not with Elon Musk or DOGE. Well, why not? Well, because he's a billionaire, and because it's Trump, And because they're billionaires and because we don't know why. We're just told that that's the right way to think. Manipulating collectivists through a collective concept such as Doge bad, Elon Musk bad, Trump bad, Orange Man bad, rich rocket guy billionaire bad. Those concepts, it's so easy to manipulate these poor souls. And that's why I am asking you, begging you practically, to get these clips out there. Individual clips, long shows like mine, whatever it takes. Get your friends, get your family, get everybody involved that you have access to, that you can, within your circle of influence, as they say, get them to watch this stuff. Because I think the more people that watch it, and don't forget, I'm not a fan of Fox News. I wish that had been me doing the interviews or somebody else. Bongino doing a quick return to the air or whatever. But the message was there, even if I don't necessarily like Brett Baer. He deserves kudos because he did a great job. So, yeah, get that information out there. We need every American to watch at least some of the clips, if not the entire thing. I firmly believe if more Americans truly knew what was happening, what in the world just happened with that? Sorry. This is where I have to assume that the NSA is watching, you silly, silly people. They did something to my camera, and now it's looking all funky. Right when I was just about to... couldn't they have waited like 30 more seconds? Dang it. That's embarrassing. I'll have to figure that out. Oh, well. I don't see anything too bad on the screen. Huh. Yeah. Whatever it is, it happened. Langley, good to see you. Get the word out. Make sure that as many people as you can get to watch these interviews, the whole interview preferably, or at least parts of the interview, or this whole show or whatever, get them to see this stuff. Because they need to come to an understanding. They need to realize that this, maybe, I wouldn't say more than anything else, because there have been a whole lot of lies about Trump. There's been a whole lot of lies about COVID, a whole lot of lies about election fraud. There's been a whole lot of lies that have been told to us by legacy media. One of the most recent one, the most pressing one right now, is the lie that Elon Musk and DOGE and the DOGE team, they're all out to destroy America. It's the exact opposite. They aren't just trying to help America. They're trying to save America. They're not just another opportunity. This is the opportunity. We have never had the perfect storm that could finally possibly bring us out of this abyss that we've been sinking into for a very long time. We haven't had that chance. We probably won't have that chance again. But right here, today, right now, we have that opportunity. And I praise God for it, because if this works, then I will know deep down in my heart, or even just on the surface of my heart, throughout my entire heart, I will know that we have been given this opportunity by God. And if the opportunity fails, if we have the right president, the right Department of Government Efficiency, the right cabinet secretaries, the right everything, if we have all that in place, and then they're still able to beat us with lawfare or violence or whatever, propaganda, then we'll know that too was God saying, I've given you every chance. I've given you all the tools that you need to save America, and you still couldn't do it. You still couldn't do it. So it's time for judgment. I truly believe that. I know a lot of you out there are probably feeling a little uncomfortable. Oh, he's talking about judgment for America. He's talking about God doing this or God doing that. I'm just saying, I firmly believe that this, again, perfect storm, supernaturally perfect storm of things coming together at this time tells me that either we're given the opportunity to save this nation, or we're given the final, hey, you had every chance and you blew it and you're out of here. So it's either we save America or we face judgment. I don't see another option. I don't see anything in between that could possibly fit. Again, I keep using the phrase, but this perfect storm of both opportunities as well as threats. Threats from lawfare, threats from violence and domestic terrorism, threats from foreign sources. Threats from just our past sins. I mean, we might find out that the corruption, the fraud is just so deep that even DOGE, even Elon Musk and Donald Trump and the cabinet, even they can't fix it. Either way, I'm super excited about the future because, again, we're talking about either saving America or it's the end times and we're about to go home. I'm good, okay? It's party time. Either way, as far as I am concerned. Lord willing, I will be back very soon with another episode. But in the meantime, you all stay strong, stay safe, and God bless.